Ladies and gentlemen, in today's video, I'm going to be doing a video on the Dream Wrestlemania card for 2026. It doesn't matter that Roman Reigns won the Royal Rumble, Liv Morgan won the Royal Rumble. Of course, I'm going to be focusing on all divisions and what matches that I hope would happen. You know, who I would hope to win the Royal Rumble. Maybe some things would still stay the same, but this is just the stuff that I would want to happen at WrestleMania. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And also, if you do want extra reviews, you can go visit my Patreon, link in description, and link in the pinned comment. So without further ado, let's get you to the video that you came for. So starting off first with the match that I'm probably the least excited. Well, of course, all the matches that I am excited about, but this is one that I would want to happen at WrestleMania, but I don't know how it would happen. So if Seth Rollins came back in time, I could see in a world that maybe Bron Breakker, of course it's Fantasy Street matches, so, Bron Breakker didn't get injured, and it's Seth Rollins versus Bron Breakker at WrestleMania. Now, how would I have this match end? Probably by disqualification because of division. In my opinion, I think that's how I would have this match end, but of course, that's just me. But there's different storylines that you could get to for this match to happen. You could have Bron Breakker win the Royal Rumble or something and maybe have his spot be taken by Seth Rollins, or you can make it a triple threat with the world title, with CM Punk's world title involving the history with Seth Rollins and CM Punk, and the last man that beat CM Punk, I think, was Seth Rollins because he beat him at SummerSlam. So you could involve that stuff, and it would be a very interesting storyline that they could go with to see, what would happen at WrestleMania if they'll make it a triple threat between Bron Breakker, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, or Bron Breakker and Seth Rollins, which I think would be a great and fantastic match. So it would be a very interesting case. The way that I'm booking this, I would say Bron Breakker versus Seth Rollins. Winner gets basically a shot at the World Heavyweight Champion, or whoever's going to beat CM Punk later in the night. Or if CM Punk retains, that's who's going to face him at Backlash, the winner of this match. So that's what I would do. Basically, a number one contenders match at WrestleMania. So that's what I would do with this rivalry. Going on to the next match. And the next match, which I really want to see happen at both events, which would be Triple Mania and WrestleMania, which I know the match that you're probably knowing that I'm thinking right now, which would have to be El Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano, and more specifically, El Grande Americano versus original El Grande Americano. So, I know this match does sound crazy, but I think it could be a mask versus mask, or you can save that for a Lucha Libre type style at Triple Mania. And you could have this match even literally be something that could be a development for AAA down there, and you could have the winner face maybe Dominic Mysterio at AAA's next pay-per-view after WrestleMania, or next weekend, which I don't know what it is, but you could have that match happen. So it would be very interesting to see this match happen, even though it is going to happen in real life. I would book this differently, to where both of the Americanos is face, instead of one being face and one being heel. I would have both of them be face, but I would also have the original Grande Americano be heel in AAA. So the next match is, I think, AJ Styles shouldn't have retired in Saudi Arabia at the Royal Rumble. I think he should have retired at WrestleMania to the same person who I'm talking about right now, which is the Ring General Gunther. I think it should have been a match between AJ Styles versus Gunther, maybe even to main event night one of WrestleMania, which I know on a hand does sound crazy, but I think it would be very, very worth it if that match does happen, because it was already a great match at the Royal Rumble. So it's even going to be a better match after WrestleMania, because of course they're going to put their better and ultimate ability into that WrestleMania card. So I would say to have Gunther win this match and basically do the same thing and have Gunther, go on to something else and retire another person's career. But eventually they do need to start pushing them. But I do think AJ Styles should have won this match at the Royal Rumble. And they could have played into his character role. And maybe they could have even had 2 more matches. One for a non-career match, one for a career match, and one for maybe a career match again, which would be at WrestleMania. AJ would win too, which I know would make Gunther look like what he said he tapped out John Cena like, because I'm not saying that on this video. I do think that it would be a fun and interesting storyline that they could go with, because it's ultimate payoff going to lead to AJ Styles retiring, but better because it's going to be at WrestleMania 42, which AJ Styles already retired after Royal Rumble, but he kept the gloves on, so of course he's probably going to be going to another company, or he's going to be in a different role in the WWE. Now the next match, which in my opinion, I do think that this will be a great match, and this is dream match to the fullest extent, but we have to have Dominic versus Rey Mysterio. And of course, at this point, Rey does not need to win, especially if it is for the title, but I really need to see this match happen, and maybe even have Dom retire Rey Mysterio, because he's had that big of a career, and he definitely probably wants Dom to retire him, and that would make the most sense, in my opinion. So I think this would be a great match. You could even have Gunther retire Rey Mysterio, but I do think that Dominic Mysterio is the best bet here, especially with him being the AAA champion, the Mega champion, or however you want to say it, and being the Intercontinental champion. You could put both of the titles on the line if you really wanted to, and it ties back into Grande versus Grande at the first of the show. But overall, would have Rey Mysterio winning this match here, and I think it would work out for the better. So going on to the next match, it is the Women's Intercontinental Championship match. Sorry, I kind of messed that up right there. But I do think, like in real life, my dream match for this show, I think, would be AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch, because if it's not AJ Lee, really, who could it be? You could have different scenarios play out, but I do think eventually it should end up being AJ Lee to beat Becky Lynch for the title. And of course, like I said earlier in this video, like I said a few seconds ago, I do think AJ Lee will beat Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, but just scrap the whole entire match between Becky Lynch and AJ Lee at Elimination Chamber. So the next match, going on to the next title, which is Carmelo Hayes' title, which is the United States Championship. I do think that these titles are, pretty good right now. Both the Intercontinental, the mid-card titles for the men's. The women's not so much, but we'll talk about that later. I do think Carmelo Hayes is going to end up defending this in like a ladder match between, of course, Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams, Ilya Dragunov, Sami Zayn, a lot of just the mid-carders in the mid-card division, which I do think they would pop off in this match. So I do think Trick Williams will end up winning this match, because they already presented him well. Just they don't need to push him too much, because then the fans, they're fickle, so they are going to probably betray Trick Williams and, not like him. So next is the tag team titles. I do think that one of these pairs are not going to be on the card, maybe even both of them. But the one that they're presenting better right now is the Raw side. I forgot how to say their tag team title name. It's like the World Tag Team titles or WWE Tag Team titles. I don't know how you say it. But so they've really not done nothing with the Usos. Of course, I do think that they have been presented stronger. So I would say that the Usos would be presented on this card, probably facing a team like, who can I really think of? Maybe Finn Balor and JD if it gets back in time. I do think that would be a little bit of a low blow to the tag team division, but I do think that they can make this a tag team ladder match with Usos versus Alpha Academy versus JD and Finn versus who else do we have in the division. Just you can put up a lot of teams, but I do think eventually the Usos still will retain the tag team titles. So moving on to the next match, which is the United States Women's Championship. I know y'all probably thought that I was going to leave it off of this video. No doubt this is the worst presented mid-card title right now, held by Julia, and I think they are going to tease the match between Tiffany, Stratton, and Julia, and I think that this will be a big push for the Women's United States title. And I do think if Tiffany Stratton's in this match, it would be Tiffany that would win to maybe even push that title. And on to the world title matches, starting off with the Royal Rumble winners and who I would think to win, the Royal Rumbles. So I would say Liv Morgan still to win the Royal Rumble and to face Stephanie Becker at WrestleMania. Maybe even add Raquel Rodriguez into the mix later in the line. I do think that this would be a fantastic match like it is in real life. And there's so many different options that you could do. You could add Raquel to this match. You could have Raquel beat Stephanie in the Philadelphia Street Fight, which I do think should have happened because then it would have been Raquel versus Liv at Mania. That would have been a great match. But there's so many options that you could have done with this match if you fantasy book. But moving on to the men's Royal Rumble winner, I do think maybe Roman Reigns was the wrong choice. In my opinion, I do think that Roman was the wrong choice, if I'm being honest. I think that LA Knight should have won, and I think it should have been LA Knight versus CM Punk in the main event of WrestleMania, or maybe even the opener of WrestleMania, because you know how the WWE treats LA Knight, so that's not good at all. But I do think you know how the WWE treats LA Knight, so I do think it will be LA Knight versus CM Punk, probably in the opener where CM Punk would retain and face the winner of Bron Breakker and Seth Rollins in the main event of Backlash. That I would say in fantasy booking would be in Puerto Rico, because I think that would be the biggest audience for the WWE at this point. And now I'm going to talk about who I think would win the Elimination Chamber. And this is hard because the Elimination Chamber hasn't even happened yet, but I do think that eventually Bianca Belair from fantasy booking, I think she should have came back in the Royal Rumble match and win the Women's Elimination Chamber and face Jade Cargill at WrestleMania, because really, who else could face Jade if Bianca's not there? When you think about it like that, Bianca has to return to face Jade at WrestleMania, because if not, really, what could you do with Jade at WrestleMania? And obviously, Bianca Belair should win this match, in my opinion. Or they could put the road on Jade and just mega push her to beat Bianca Belair in this match. But I think overall the right pick would be Bianca. And then who I think would win the men's Elimination Chamber. Now, we just lost the Elimination Chamber match last night on SmackDown as of recording this. I think Sami Zayn would have been the perfect winner to face Drew McIntyre. Even though I was just hating on Sami Zayn a few weeks ago, I think that they could have pushed him to maybe even win the world title at WrestleMania. And I think he would have been a cool Elimination Chamber winner because he's always in the underdog roles. And when he's in the underdog roles, he has to win something at the same time. And now I think he does really need to do a rebrandation or a rebrand, or however you want to say it. I don't know why I said it like that. But I do think Sami Zayn should do something to rebrand his character to make him more of a heel, maybe, or make him more of like, I can't get this job done, so, I'm going to take the dirty way out. And I think that that'll be a nice and good character for Sami Zayn. Now, ladies and gentlemen, be welcome to comment your WrestleMania dream predictions in the comments below. And I do wish you, if your birthday is right around the corner, happy birthday and happy Valentine's Day, because I'm recording this video this Saturday the 14th. And as always, I highly appreciate it if you have subscribed to my Patreon. Nothing's on there right yet, but I will be posting more than likely about 4 times a week, better than the YouTube channel. So I would say go subscribe over there. As always, we post stuff that actually uses footage that, of course, we can't post here on YouTube because it would just get banned through the copyright. So without further ado, peace.